Sorry, we're a little behind tonight. Just wanted to thank you again for being with us for another show. And I'm excited because I have my brother and sister with me. Also, you've met them before, long time married couple who are doing great things in the community and are also demonstrating by their life, what this is all about. Remember, every Tuesday at 8:30. Most Tuesdays, because it wasn't 8:30 today.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
A little behind today. But guess what? We're here. And remember, you can always follow me on Facebook, Outlaws Jr. If you follow me, remember I have this exciting program that's coming up on finances. I'm going to do a whole thing on finances. It's going to be powerful. But you're only going to get it if you follow me. So you also can follow me on YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, you'll also get access to that. Some of you will get some clips of that, and you're going to be really upset if you don't get in from the very beginning. And remember, you can go on my website. That's advice4life.us. And you can look at an array of podcasts and shows and podcasts you actually can listen to while you're working out, when you're driving in your car. I mean, it's a really good way for you to get insights about how to relate in your life. And that's any relationship. It could be husband and wife. It can be boyfriend and girlfriend. It can be sister and brother. Every type of relationship, this model, this family strengthening model applies to. And so you can utilize those skills in very, very powerful ways, even in how you, deal with people in business and as you negotiation. I use it for everything that I do in my life. So it's been a blessing for me. So tonight, I got to remember, share, it's fair. I always say share, it's fair. That means that as I wait for my Facebook family to come on, and my folks are coming on, some of them were probably wondering whether we were doing the program tonight. But they're coming on, and what I love about what we do is that we get this community of folks to come together, and they begin to interact and actually contribute to the dialogue and to the dynamic.
Thank y'all for that.
That makes it real.
Yeah,
it makes it real when you're getting feedback from other people. They share some very powerful things. I have people to come with me on a regular basis, and then of course there's a community of people who are listening in. And I always tell them, I said, please just kind of put down, that you're with us, some kind of comment, hello, because otherwise you just become a number. And I know there's a lot of people listening, because when I get done, I mean, it might be like 50 of us on the line at the time. And then when I get done, we got 300 and something people or more that have joined us and listened to us. So look, just join us. Just let us know. Just support it. But what you can do to support, even if you don't give a comment, is you can go to your device and you'll see this little box that says share, and you hit that share button. And when you hit that share button, you are able to send out to all the folks that you know. And I love the thumbs up. You know that. I love the hearts. That lets us know that both you can hear us well and that you're with us and you're glad to be with us. So I see that, those thumbs up. You hit that share button, it'll go out to all your friends, your family, and folks, and let them know that you appreciate Advice for Life, and that's what's fair. Share, it's fair. So I look forward to it. I don't know whether your stream, I see stream coming up, but it like says stopping, like it's cutting off some kind of way.
Oh.
So is yours on?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting that it's not going through. Well, that's the way.
It's delayed a little.
Yeah, this internet stuff is good when it works, and when it doesn't work.
So there you go.
So I'm gonna join in with you later, and that's good. And check in with you guys, my Facebook family, as you've come in. As you know, I always look forward to your interaction. Of course, those of you who don't know, I am Al Laws. I'm your host for Advice for Life, and my co-host, my lovely, beautiful, I dare say, sexy wife.
Hi, y'all.
Aisha Laws, 24 years married. And I also told you I have my brother and my sister-in-law here. So I'm going to let them just say hey to you.
Hey, guys. We're back again.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Been here before.
so Karen and Sean.
Karen.
So
My wonderful, lovely husband, Sean. 22 years.
22.
Coming up on 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah, they were actually together longer than us, so they just kind of waited and
We
delayed
took
a
our
little
time.
bit.
We took our time. We want to make sure it was right.
Well, that's important because a lot of times today, I see people rush into relationship, and I really believe, and it's connected to what I really want to talk about tonight, is that people have this image about relationship. They have this image about marriage. And sometimes their image is negative because of what they've experienced. They haven't really seen people be able to work it out. And some of that that expectation or that image that they have is really about, they have this ideal about what happens or how a man is supposed to be or how a woman is supposed to be. And when you have these kind of, I call them idols because they're really idols. They're images. I say this to people all the time. I say this to men when I'm talking to men. I tell men it's very dangerous for you to spend your time and your energy putting images in your mind. So when you talk about pornography and other types of things, when you look at certain types of movies now, I mean, you depending on your grace level, your balance. I'm not saying you can't look at a movie that might have something that might have some exposure. Look, our body, God has made our bodies. There's nothing wrong with it, but you got to be careful about the images that you're putting inside you, and especially when you're talking about images that have the purpose to try to ingrain an image in you, like pornography, because that image, what happens is that that image stays within you, and the woman that you're with or whatever woman you're with cannot compete with that image, because that image, they put all kind of makeup on, they fixed it all up, they took shots, they cut. I see a wrinkle on her right there. Hey, wipe that sweat off of her right there. Get that powder on her. And so everything is designed that every part and everything you see is perfect. So when they take that picture or they're filming that film, everything has been set up to give you an image, an illusion that it's perfect. So then you are going to take that same image and then you're going to project it on another person.
That's true.
And so those images and illusions, as people are going into relationships, you got to be careful. So sometimes you let images come into you, and sometimes you carry images from whatever reason. I don't know, you saw your grandma and your grandpa, and you said, my grandmother's treated my grandfather like that. But that was your grandma and grandpa. So you cannot take these images in. And so I want to talk about this in a real way. I want to get your feedback as we talk about this whole thing about having images and having realistic expectations around how you relate. Because it's very important, because people move in ways where they carry images and expect people to live up to the images that they have. So I know I said a lot. So.
You did.
You
did. So. I think it's one of the things that you shared about unrealistic expectation always rings in my head, and it is telepathy.
Yeah,
telepathy.
Right.
Where a woman, I'm going to speak from the woman's perspective. He should have known that's what I wanted him to do. Why I have to tell him?
Right.
I shouldn't have to tell him that's what I want. Yeah. It's common sense.
I'm from Mars. I can read your mind.
It's common sense that I would want him to pick the kids up, or it's common sense I want him to cook, or it's common sense that I want. Right, but we are human. We're not yet graced and blessed with telepathy. Not all of us.
Not yet.
What was that? Jamaican lady, Miss Chloe. We're not all Miss Chloe.
Right.
So you know what? We just have to really descend a little bit and communicate with our words.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Right, because that's really what happens. Really but if you speak what you desire,
right,
and then there's a lack of manifestation, then you can discuss the matter.
Right.
But if you never speak it, you don't have the right
to have an
to be upset, because the expectation wasn't realized because
Wow.
it didn't come out of your mind.
Wow.
It did.
It's
Wow.
still in your mind.
Wow.
It hasn't been released
Wow.
to theirs.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, there lies the problem
Wow.
because most of the time couples never speak
Right.
beforehand.
Right.
So their expectations become bigger than what they are because we never had this conversation when we sat down and we was just being goo-goo-eyed in each other's presence about what you wanted or I wanted. We
Right.
just went with the flow, and that's
with the
just how
flow.
it was.
Right.
You didn't know I didn't like to cook. You didn't know I didn't like to clean. And you didn't know I didn't want any children.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
my
that's
God.
a big
So
one.
we never had that conversation, but we kept going.
And we were rushing because we
And
were trying to
were
get to the
rushing. We was-
image that we had.
Exactly, exactly. So we went through everything before we got to everything.
To everything.
everything.
I like that. I like that. We went through everything
Everything.
before we got to
That's
everything.
exactly right.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
And everything is not everything. Those images and, or the expectation of those images are somebody else's thought.
Right.
You know,
Right, right. Somebody conjured them for
somebody made that up for you.
you. I love it.
However, you know, I understand that, and it takes some time to get to your a place where you can be settled with your own expectations. That takes time and effort, but you really in a relationship, you gotta be willing. You have to be willing to get to that point. You can't cop out. You know, you know, that's a really big topic. You know,
Yeah.
It is. But not only do you have to be willing, you also have to be willing to understand that your expectations is not the same as the next person's expectations,
No.
and that there was no communication on what those expectations were.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have any expectations, then now we need to come together and talk about it.
That's right.
Now we need to come together and talk about it.
Absolutely.
And what you said, Karen, is very important. Everything everybody said was important. I'm connecting to what you said because what happens is that people get into a mode where their communication about their expectations are after the fact. So it's when they're in the crisis, it's when something has been violated or something happened that they didn't like, right? And so you find that they find themselves at the end of that. And then people really believe because I told you one time before, then I expect now that you got it.
Right.
Now let's say for instance,
for real, that's real talk.
Let me say,
That's real
let's say
talk.
when I grew up, I wasn't doing no dishes. My mama did the dishes for me all the time.
All the time.
No, she didn't. That wasn't really true for me. That wasn't true for me. But if my mama did the dishes for me,
Wash
and
your
I was
clothes.
just wash my clothes,
Right, right.
and then you come and you get upset because I left a plate in the sink. And I told you I don't like no dirty house and I don't like no dishes in the sink. And you think because you told me that
I met that person.
that your expectation is I'm not going to ever do it again?
Right.
Right.
Because that goes into part of our subject matter is that it's nothing wrong with having expectations. God has said that there are things that we should expect. But the thing is that we should not primarily be expectors.
Right.
Right. That's right.
Now, I'm going to get back to that later. But we should not primarily that should not be the course of our life. If the course of your life is that you're always looking for expectation from others, then you've missed where you need to be. In fact, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be hurt. That's good, Sean.
Yeah.
And not only that, you are going to be in the mode where you are always in conflict because people are not living up to your expectation.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
there is nothing wrong with expectation.
Wow.
It is God given, but it has to be within a framework. The big things we know. You shouldn't lie, you shouldn't cheat, you shouldn't steal. Just go to 10 Commandments. I mean,
Right.
we know you should expect those things to not be part of what you should have in any relationship. Mother, father, sister, brother, it doesn't matter. But remember, we all have our own unique individual expectations. based on our personality, based on our experiences, based on our likes and our dislikes. And that's not a bad thing. That's a beautiful thing. But here's the deal. First, if you get away from thinking that expectation is how you should live your life and you spend your time pointing your finger to how you should expect people, I'm going to say this while I'm on this roll. If you spend your energy, if you're expecting, let me say it this way. You should spend more time or less time expecting from people and more time inspecting yourself.
Inspecting.
Wow.
So you change it. Less time with expect and more time with inspect.
Yeah. Amen.
Because
Love that.
because your life is really about you inspecting in your own life, your own process,
your own interior,
your own interior, your own inside, so that now we can get to what I'm saying, the crux of it. If you inspect properly, then you will have realistic expectations.
That's right.
And if you don't
Amen.
inspect, you will not have realistic expectations.
Yes.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
And you know,
My notebook.
in my heart, I know that what is true is when someone has intense expectations,
Right.
They have loved an image or an idol so intensely that the affection is now inordinate. It's misplaced.
Right.
It's out of order. So now if the person doesn't meet or match the idol that you were speaking of earlier, if they don't meet that expectation, which is the image that idol is projecting within that person,
Right.
that person hasn't done enough inspection to go in and tear down that field of idols that they have within them.
Right.
Which is an image of what a mother is supposed to be, an image of what a father is supposed to be, an image of how the husband's supposed to be, a mother is supposed to be, a friend, a sister. It doesn't matter. There are idols that need to be torn down. And if you don't tear that down, you can never see that person for who they truly are, for who God's vision has, for what God's vision is for
absolutely right.
them,
That's
what their destiny is. You
Right.
can't see that, so you have inordinate affection for that idol, for that image. And once you remove that from your heart and from your sight, then you can
Right.
truly love and truly see the person that you say that you do love, and give them what you would expect to have when they're looking at your flaws. Because what God does with us is he shows us the loved one's flaws in confidence.
Right.
He shows it to us in confidence so that we can nurture them, so that we can minister to it, not
say
so
it.
that we can utilize it as a, you do this. What's wrong with you? That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to see it and treat them how we want to be treated once they see ours, because ours might be bigger. We don't even know. Okay?
All right. It's tough for us to see that.
It's tough for us to see it.
And I think sometimes that on the other side of that person has to truly become themselves, because sometimes you are so susceptible to what society says you supposed to be
Right.
That's
that
good.
you're
Yeah, it
no
is.
longer
That's
yourself.
good. That's
That's
good.
right.
So
That's
you
good.
put on those images
Right.
Yes.
for the person to see
For the
something
person.
that you're
Yes,
not
Karen.
That
really
you're
Yes.
not.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I love that.
So we have to be able to be who we are, so that other person can see who we are, so that you can see who God truly made us to be, and not what society says we should be.
Now that's so powerful
Yes.
because that's part of, we were talking about mask. We had a whole series on mask, and that whole series was really about helping people see that we put certain masks on. We take on certain images because we want to project something to people that may not really be us. And you know what? Guess what? I mean, I'm on Facebook Live, of course. I'm also going to be on YouTube Live. But that whole social media thing also puts people in postures where they are trying to present something that they really aren't. Because they believe that's what people need to see about them, or that's what they want to be. But they haven't done the work, or they still are trying to work to that place where they get to where it is. And that's why, Advice for Life, that's why I'm only, we're always talking about real things. We're talking about what we have experienced, what we've gone through. And of course, the only people that come on my show are the people that I know are going to talk about real work. And so that was really powerful what you said, Karen, because there's so many times where people don't know who they are, but they expect the person that they're in relationship to figure out who they are.
Right.
And they have an expectation that you're supposed to, as Aisha was saying, to figure out what I like, what I want, and how I want it. But I don't even know, because I took on an image over here to impress you.
Created by somebody else.
Created by somebody else, as Sean just said.
Who was probably taking on an image that was created by somebody else.
Right. And you're not in love then.
No.
Because love is being with yourself and being with the maker.
That's right.
And
Right.
once you're in love, then
You gotta love yourself.
expectations are gone.
Expectations
Are gone because now you're in love. You know?
That's him. That's
Right.
so true.
Right. Yeah. So ultimately, and I like what you said about expectations being gone, because although it's okay for us to have expectations, you don't get to a place where you have to have the expectations met in order for you to engage in the way that you're supposed to engage in a relationship.
Right.
That's right.
So they're gone in a sense
In a
that,
sense.
of course, I do have expectations, but those expectations don't drive me.
Yes.
Those expectations,
Yes.
as I said in the beginning,
right.
are not the forefront. They're not the first thing. They are not the thing that drive who I am.
Right.
So I may have expectations, but I'm not going to punch you in your face when you don't meet my expectations.
Right.
And you think I'm just saying that, but I just talked to
No,
you.
brother, you're real. Because
just talked to-
I know that I need to clean the dishes before my wife sees a dirty sink. But her expectation is she's not going to get after me too bad about the dirty dishes.
Right. That's why your relationship has been able to be sustained. Because although now the powerful thing is that you know that. So when she does have the conversation with you after the third time that you forgot about what she
14th time, y'all.
and she waits for the teachable moment
Yes, she
because she
does.
plans ignores.
Yes, she does.
You know, y'all, I'm telling
Yes, she
those,
does.
those of you who don't follow us, you might not get it all, but you go back and listen. So I'm giving you the real deal. So she plans ignore. She plans ignore what you did, and then she waits for a teachable moment.
That's right.
To bring it back to discuss it when y'all are in a good place.
That's right.
And so when she brings it, then what you're doing is saying, okay, I need to show understanding. Baby, you're right. I know that that's that way. Sometimes I get busy, I forget. It's not as important to me, but I know it's important to you. And then you're going to affirm to her, you know, what you're going to try to do to try to meet her expectation. But she didn't lose her love for you.
Right. No.
She didn't lose her character because
That's right.
you didn't meet her expectation. So that's what I mean. That's important what you pointed out, because that's what happens. People are living through their expectations. Oh my Jesus!
Now, guys, don't think that this happened like all of a sudden, because it did not happen that way all of a sudden.
No, it don't.
Don't think I planned ignored from the beginning.
Yeah,
No,
that's right.
no, it didn't happen that way. This take work, okay?
It take work.
It all takes work. Believe
Yes.
me, it took some time for me to get to plan ignored.
That's right. They get the plan ignoring. Oh yeah, I didn't do it those last 5 times. Right.
But we got there.
Right.
That's the point. It's a process. You got to work
Right.
through
You
it.
gotta work
You got to
through
be willing to work
You
through
gotta be
it.
willing to work through it. You gotta be willing to work through it.
Yes.
So this is really powerful. I love. I told everybody get ready when I come back. We get ready to break out into a whole new process. Wait till you see when I get all my other power couples together and we start kicking you knowledge and insight. We're going to be doing some really powerful things, some new techniques, and how we're going to actually film what we're doing. You're gonna get insights to our events that we're gonna be doing, so you're gonna love it. And someone has encouraged me, so I'm gonna go ahead and go forth with it. Is that we're gonna actually look to planning a seminar in the future where we can actually allow the people who are with us and joining us can come and really experience this stuff really for real in a direct way. But before we continue, I want y'all to hold your thoughts, because it's beautiful what you're giving. I want to reach out to my Facebook family, the folks that have been there. So I'm going to get my wife to help me scroll down with this. But we have a lot of people joining us. I see Mr. Wayne Lucas joining us. Love that brother. I saw Wanji, my cousin from North Carolina. Tracy is a regular. Happy birthday. Of course, James Joe Bean. He's been consistent. I call James Joe Bean. He's just at the table now. He's another regular that comes all the time. I see Rosa there, and Tracy, another regular. Angela, a regular. And they're making comments. They're speaking back to each other. So that's what's so encouraging. Y'all can see that dynamic that's going there. And then we have what's that name, Aisha?
Which
I
one?
can't read it.
Asha.
Asha. Hey, Asha. That's our friend from Rockville. Good to see you, Asha. Thanks for joining us. We love her and her husband. They're powerful folks and been
Yeah.
married for a long time. I see Kawina, a regular. And of course, Andrea's Mama Andrea's a regular. Who's that? Baron Gilbert? Is that Baron?
Baron Gilbert, yes.
Yeah, nice. That's a biker friend.
All right.
That has joined in. Greg's biker friend.
right.
April Johnson. Hey, April. Good to see you. Glad that you joined us. She said communication is very important. And then Tracy had a comment, and she said the hardest image for me to shed was how to perceive my father to be as a father and a husband. It actually took a professional to help me
Bust
some myth about him and to shed the expectations that were not realistic. I had him as an idol. So that is interesting. She's talking, I hear her talking about this, image that she had about her father related to the husband that she would
piece.
have.
Yeah.
That's very common, that people come in with these images and want somebody to be like their mother or like their father was, or
Right.
some people come in and says, I don't want you to be like my father. I don't want you to be like my
Yeah,
mother.
don't do that.
Right.
And then if you have any quirk that's
No
like
one is.
them,
Like them, yeah.
then they messed up.
Yeah.
Right? They messed up because you in there. I see Dorothy Parker. Dorothy joined in, and she's
Marianne.
yeah, and Marianne's there. Dorothy says, when you discuss image in reality, it's
Role expectation.
it's role expectation, which society has created as a norm.
As
A
norms.
lot of times that's very true.
Yes.
And then Katina Marie, that's Greg's cousin. Thanks for the invitation. She joined in. Greg did the share it's fair. And so, yes. So I'm going to read some of the other comments.
April said we need to evaluate ourselves before we start expecting from others. Thought that was
Right. So, yes, that's right, April. That's what we were talking about, that most of your energy should be on inspecting yourself.
Exactly.
So inspect rather than expect.
Yes.
And so that's the work. That's what we're doing with Advice for Life. We're consistently making sure that people are gaining the skills necessary so they can learn how to inspect themselves. And watch this, not in a judgmental way. And I know people think that you have to be judgmental to inspect, but you're doing it in a way that is saying to yourself, I have the requisite tools and skills to look at my process, look at my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, my intentions. And now I can use the tools that I have as I inspect that process so I can be much better at seeing why I do the things that I do, why I respond the way that I respond, why I say the things out of my mouth that I say,
Right.
why do I have the expectations that I have, why do I find myself back here in the same place, in the same situation over and over again. And if you don't have the skills to inspect your process, then you find yourself revolving and spinning in your process and your awareness wheel. You're just spinning and spinning and spinning, and then you wait till it spins and it lands on feelings. And so you just go into your feelings. And then it lands on what you're thinking, and you go into your it lands on some behavior, and you acted crazy and you did something wild. But you've never connected it all together so that you can inspect who you are and walk in a way that your life is really about inspecting who I am, so I can have enough room and enough grace and enough mercy and insight to, as I get to other people, to not start out with expectation, but start out with helping them and showing understanding
Right.
and giving insight about their process or receiving their process in a proper way. And, we'll talk, and expectations come later, but yes.
I mean, we all kind of are taught the same way. we go to elementary school, we progress to high school, some of us reach college, and some of us may even reach a higher learning.
Sure.
But we don't learn how to be better people.
Right.
So if you are looking to have better expectations, you have to learn to train yourself to be a better, to reach that love level, so that you don't have these crazy roles that or images that you see lead you down the path of bad expectations. So no matter where you are in your life, if you're 20 or you're 120, there's room to learn to be better.
Right.
Yep.
And that's where that's really where you need to start, because you're going to be falsely led by everything else if you're not connected in love with yourself.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's a great day. It's a great day when we are able to create in our own spirit excellent expectations. And the way that we do that is we do what we always say: extract the precious from the worthless.
Yes.
So when you're talking about a person that you love, you're extracting all these great things, and you're lining those up and stacking those up. And if they are higher than that little tiny dot about the dishes, then it don't really matter, y'all.
Right.
it matter.
Right.
Because if it don't matter when you're 90, it don't matter.
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, we can yell about it, but at the end of the day, I
end of
still
the
love him.
day,
So
Right.
why are we mad now?
Right.
Why am I wasting this 15 minutes of joy? That
Or
can still be
hour,
having,
or
or an
day,
hour, or a day.
Or a day,
Oh God, that's a lot.
or a week.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And your sister is always going to be your sister. Your
Right.
brother's
Brother's
going to be your
always
brother.
right.
Your parents are going to be
be
your
your
parents.
parents.
So if you spend your energy allowing yourself to believe that somehow you can distance yourself from people that God has sent to you to be part of you, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be losing out on something. And I'm amazed at how people let so many things related to some conversation or something that somebody might have done, and they can't talk through it and can't get past it. And they really, it doesn't, when you get 90 years old, are you going to look back and say, my brother should have gave me that $50 back? You mean you spent your whole life, you're 90
worrying
years
about-
old,
right.
and you separated from your brother
Brother.
because he took your car to Detroit and never brought it back?
Right, right.
And is that car more important than your relationship?
The
So
love
you
of your
spent your
brother,
whole
right.
life out of relationship with your brother,
Right.
because he did something to a car.
Right. Right.
That's how it becomes. That's ridiculous.
yeah.
That's a ridiculous premise. And so what you're saying is right. That's really powerful. We got to be careful with that.
You have to be careful.
So and y'all can jump in whatever you want, but I think it's important to really kind of set up, because we're talking about expectations. We're talking about images that can be associated, that can push us to certain expectations. I want to get into a little bit more, and it's connected a little bit to the fact that we have this tendency when we talk about expectations to believe, and you'll hear people say this, they'll say, well, right is right and wrong is wrong. Oh, really? Right is right. Okay, let's break that down. If you're talking about the big stuff, the things that God has told us, yeah, you're right. Right is right and wrong is wrong. So if a man cheats on his wife, he has no excuse, or a woman cheats on her husband. If somebody cheats on somebody, that is wrong. I mean, there's no different in that. There's no opinion. We should have the expectation that we're going to be faithful to each other.
Right.
But we have this tendency that we have in our minds that what we think is right and what we think is wrong is right and wrong. So when we're dealing with someone, we have this tendency to project that, and that becomes part of our expectations. So I'm going to put myself on blast. Okay. So I know everybody, I tell people all the time, I say, you don't listen to my show enough. People say, well, you and your wife always seem like y'all get along. Ain't nobody's relationship like that. Ain't nobody perfect. I said, we ain't perfect. You ain't been listening to my shows.
Right.
Because I'm telling you all the time where we missing it and what we had to do to get through it. So that's what's real. So I'm putting myself on blast. So I know that God had to show me that there's a difference between realistic expectation and what we consider reasonable expectation, what my right and wrong is. So I'm in this conversation with my wife. It starts getting intense. My wife is sharing, what she's saying. And what she's saying to me don't make sense. And I'm going to just tell you right now.
Right out the gate. Don't make
It
sense.
didn't
make sense to me, y'all.
Yeah,
It made sense to you.
It made perfect
But it didn't make
sense to her.
sense to him.
It made no logical, reasonable sense. So I could not focus on a reasonable expectation. Because I didn't say reasonable expectation. I said realistic. See, I'm going to show you the difference. So my wife is talking. We're going on. And I'm keep trying to get back to her. And I'm reframing it to her and trying to say it back. Because I think if I give it to her in a reasonable way, she's eventually going to see that what she's saying doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
It's just funny. I'm sorry.
Nope.
She's eventually going to see it doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
So after doing that, I'm skillful. I'm doing it. Man, she still wasn't making sense to me. I raised my voice. Because I'm like saying, you're not hearing.
You're not getting it.
I gotta say it louder because the language can't be understood.
So it is not. It's not a reasonable It's not a realistic expectation for me to believe that because I raised my voice to get her to hear it, that somehow that was going to change the fact that it wasn't going to make sense to me, and that it wasn't. It made perfect sense to her. It made perfect sense to her. We kind of talked about it and we compromised a little bit. A lot of what she's thinking, I still don't think it makes sense. So it's not that we resolved it. So her thing was perfectly reasonable to me, and I was perfectly reasonable to her. We had a lot of unreasonableness because my right and my wrong is different from her right and her wrong.
That's right.
Again, I'm not talking about the big stuff.
Right.
Because nobody better not write up and make a comment here. See, they told you on Advice for Life, there ain't no right and wrong, and
no, don't do it.
So just because I busted the budget and bust through the bank account, you can't say that's wrong. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's our right and wrong, how we perceive it, and in that moment, as I'm compromising, I'm still finding my lane where I'm frustrated about how unreasonable I believe she's being. And she's doing the same thing about
on her side.
How unreasonable that I'm being.
Right.
And we find a place to gap in the middle and to find a place where we can land. And that's what I mean by realistic expectation. Now it's realistic. That's what's real. That's what we can start working on.
Right.
That's the platform that we can start jumping. Not what I got in my mind and what she got in her, is where we came together and we found a common place that we could jump off on realistically. And now that is where my expectation should be. I can't go back to, even though I'm going to go back. I'm just letting y'all know.
He is gonna go back.
I'm going to go back.
If I get 2 more years older, I'll get it then.
I'm gonna go back, and that's what happens in a relationship. You start trying to find a place.
No, yeah, that's real because early in our relationship, the same thing for us. You're not hearing what I'm telling you, and she's saying,
"Yes, I am."
I hear you loud and clear, but it don't make sense. Okay, and it took years to get to a point where I think we had a real expectation where we both can say, I hear you. I hear you. Now, how do we put this together and make us move forward to make this resolve an issue?
Right. We might not resolve it.
We might not resolve it.
At least
Agree to
we
disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of what we'll cover in our next couple of sessions, we'll cover about how you skillfully do that when you do come together. Because it's one thing to tell people you need to come together to talk, but most people don't know what to do when they come together to
Right.
talk.
Right.
They don't. They just think, I say what I'm going to say, you say what you're going to say, but it's really a skill.
Yeah.
It's really you have to have a set of skills that you're disciplined in, Because when your emotions are raging and you're mad as heck and you think the person ain't making no sense, man, you got to you got to have something to grab. You better grab the scripture, but that scripture better have some skill. You know what I'm saying? You can have the knowledge of what God has said, but guess what? You can have the knowledge of how to do a building, but you ain't got the tools to do it.
Right.
You can.
What I always say is be careful what you say out your mouth. You don't want to tear down the person that you love with your words because they don't agree with one little thing.
Right.
You don't want to do that, guys. You don't. Telling you no.
And the other thing is our words are powerful. You once you put them out there, you can't get them back.
Can't get them back.
That's so true.
I learned that.
You cut them up and you don't mean to. Then you want to heal them later. Just by saying, I'm sorry, but they bleed all over the place. They're bleeding out now.
I love my wife. Yeah, my wife is funny, yo. I'm telling you.
Crazy now.
You know, she got all them. She got a whole kind of voices. Like I feel so free that she's finally feeling loose enough. I think it's because Sissy's here. You know, we call Karen Sissy. I think because Sissy's here, she feels more relaxed. You know, that mean, I should be thinking about that. So she wasn't relaxed with me, but she relaxes. Okay, I ain't gonna touch that. They don't make sense to me, but guess what? But I'm
going there.
So we're gonna do. We're coming down to our time, and we're having a great time. We are going to talk some more. Of course, I'm gonna tell my brother and sister-in-law to come back because y'all got to finish since we started that. But we have a whole series where we're going to expand. We're going to have different sessions with my power couples. I think it's very powerful. I love having the ability to bounce off and hear other perspectives, and then I'll throw my teaching stuff in there as I go. So we're going to do some more with expectation, the difference between what we consider, what we think is reasonable. And I'm not saying reasonable expectation, because if you do it by your reason, you're going to get jammed up. We're going to talk about realistic or jacked up. People get jacked up.
Jammed or jacked.
If you ain't skilled, you get jammed or jacked.
Your wife from the hood. That's
you get Jimmy jacked up. Look, you only get this from Advice for Life. I love y'all. Look, I'm going to check in with my family real quick as we go through. But before we do that, I want to remind you to hit the share button if you're enjoying this, and even though they'll come in to the tail end, but they'll know that we're here. Hit that share button, and you can share it out to everybody you can share it out to everyone, or you can select people that you want to share it with. I want you to send it out to everyone. So let me scroll down for me, babe, so I can see the other people that we're right here. Vicky. Okay. Vicky joined us. That's a friend of Greg's who came on. Can you put it back up for me?
Yep.
Because I don't have my glasses, so I can see out there, but I can't see down
It's okay to agree to disagree. Is what she said.
Okay. So so it's fine to agree to disagree. And I see also Christina joined us. Nice. Christina's becoming a regular. I love it. Christina actually helps me with sending out advertisement for Advice for Life. So she has been a blessing. She says, I'm very slowly learning that if you can't find any common place at all, let the place be love.
Amen. I love that.
Oh,
Christina, that's excellent.
Okay, I'm getting ready to drop the mic, y'all.
Yeah.
Christina,
That's it.
That's it right
so
there.
Dorothy, make sure you capture that. I want to make sure we feature that as we go through. That was very powerful. And then Ty Wheeler joined in. She says, lots of people misinterpret a louder voice as clearer communication. Okay, you got me, Ty. Yes. What it really equals is
diminished effective.
Yeah, diminishing effective communication. Right. So it's just the opposite. Rosa said, just because something is reasonable to me doesn't make it a realistic expectation. It's hard not to see it as realistic because it's reasonable to me. Yes, you with me, Rose. Rosa, you with me. That's exactly right. It's so reasonable to me. Can't you see that this is realistic? Yeah. You can't see that this is realistic? I mean...
Not really, but I can see why you thought so.
Because it is reasonable to me. And then Wade said, I really appreciated that you invited the Brooks to share their advice for life. Yes, they're very beautiful. What's up, fam? I see Tony said that. Carla, she always comes up and pulls up to the table. And then we have Laura. Laura joined, and she said, needed this tonight. Love you all. I love that. I love that this targets and helps people in the moment. And remember, go ahead, read it. Who's that?
Nefertari says, very rarely do men and women speak the same language. That's why you have to know the intention of your mate. When the intent is understood, the language dynamics become clearer.
Nice. And we
Very
talk
good.
about attentions in our awareness wheel, and we'll talk some more about that next time. I want to drop the mic on Christina's quote. I am slowly learning that if you can't find a common place at all, let that place be love. Hey, y'all, we love you. We'll see you back here next week at 8:30 every Tuesday evening, Advice for Life. Remember, you can go on my Facebook page and join me, Outlaws Jr. If you join me, remember, I have these incredible series that you're going to start to get. You're going to see a lot more, I call it speed in us giving you additional material that you can get to. Remember to share our program. Go onto YouTube. We're about to also project on YouTube as well. So we're going to be we're going to be we're on YouTube, so you can get all of our shows, all of our programs on YouTube. And I want you to go there. Go view those YouTube spots and all of those videos on YouTube. And if you like them, share them with your friends. Let people know. That's your way of helping us get the word out about what we're doing. If it's blessing you, that's what we ask you. Share. It's fair. Remember our website, advice4life.us. And you can get an array of, we have podcasts and videos that you can see. And we just want you to know that we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. We love you for the thumbs up and the hearts that you continue to give. And on the behalf of Advice for Life, I look forward to seeing you next week. And we love you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.